Yes.
That's true. That's true.
He'll turn 2 in January. It's kind of sad. He's my last, so a little bit. But I just cherish him.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Ladies, it's so fun to have so many smiling faces in here. Love that. So welcome to the exciting today. I'm glad that everyone can make it. We are getting new ministering assignments and kind of redoing a few things that way. So we're excited to have everyone here so that we can all join together as sisters and help each other out and learn more about each other. Let's see, there's a few announcements. First of all, we wanted to say thank you for all of those who helped with the funeral on Friday, all those who made meals or came and helped serve or did anything for that. That was so wonderful, and it's just wonderful to see our ward coming together when there's a need, and it was just a blessing. Also, we want to announce there is a community cleanup for October 22nd. I think it's just through Just Serve, right? And so I think everyone's supposed to meet here, and they'll be given a project to do, and then there'll be a luncheon on the park afterwards. So that is on October 22nd. There's also going to be a blood drive on October 31st. We'll get further information as we know more and announce that. Yeah, perfect for Halloween, right? For all the vampires out there. So we will give you more information as we find more out about where that's going to be, but you're supposed to go to Red Cross to sign up to do that. We're super excited about our activity that's going to be coming up December 1st. So save the date on your calendar. We're going to have a wonderful dinner and a program. And we are looking for helpers for the program for recruiting. So if you have a talent, musical talent, or would like to accompany song, or would like to have a speaking part, we're going to do a wonderful program that has to do with women Savior, and so it's gonna be really special, so we'd love to have anyone who would be interested in helping with that, and Sister Southwick has kind of been put in charge of doing that, so we're gonna pass the sign up around and get working on that. It's for all of the women and the young women. So if you have a daughter who has some, talents that, we would love to hear from them and, get everyone involved, so it'd be a really wonderful night. So was there anything else? I can't think of anything for, we were blessed to have conference last week and soak up all those wonderful messages, and we'll be, learning and talking more about those talks as we go about the next 6 months, as we plan our lessons, for the next 6 months, with those conference talks. So I'm excited to hear everyone's take on those and, have wonderful discussions. We, will turn the time over to Lori for our lesson, and our closing prayer is gonna be by Colleen Southwick. She doesn't have it.
Sisters, we're so glad to have so many of you here today. And I want to remind you, on the days you're not teaching, you get to come to Relief Society. That's not a day to go home. It's a day to come to Relief Society. So we're grateful. We were hoping there'd be more, so. And we are recording this so that the sisters that aren't here will, everybody will receive a link. So, so don't be nervous, not watching. Sister, the Lord has asked us to be his hands. He can't be everywhere. He can't do funerals. He can't reach out to your next door neighbor or a sister across the way. He's asked us to do that. And the way that we do that in the church is through ministering. And the new ministering program is, some of you are old enough to remember years ago, and Elder Holland gave a talk about ministering versus administering, and the whole kind of feel in the church and ward councils and state councils changed to be about making meaningful connections with people and not checking lists off, and so we're still part of that movement, and we're just going to shake things up. We're going to keep the circles, but the circles won't be the way that we do our ministering. They'll be the way that we get information out and share about parties that are being held and extra meetings that we can go to. So, so each of you will have received actually an assignment, a partner, and people to minister to. If you have a daughter that's 14 or older in your home, she's your first companion, and some also have a second companion. And it's in your tools. So if you open up your tools, took us a minute to figure it out, but it's in your tools, and you scroll down, you have to pick you maybe you don't, I have to pick you to see it. And in your tools it says ministering sisters. Those are the people that minister to you. Does that look right? And then it says ministering assignment, and it shows your companion first and then the people that you'll minister to. You'll also receive this in writing from your ministering secretaries who don't yet have that information, but I have it right here. And if you have any questions about it or problems, just let me know. So those of you who have phones, are you seeing it? Does it make sense? Julie, you don't even bring your phone to church. I love it. You're awesome. You rock. And if you're really new in the ward and I don't know you're here, then you don't have an assignment. So everybody should have an assignment. Looking at people faces I don't recognize. I know some people moved in and the next week they went to primary, and I don't know them yet. So, hi, come on in. Wherever you'd like to be. Mark said, go bear your testimony. I said, no, I'll cry and then I'll look horrible. My name's like, she's up here, but she doesn't have a baby. He's in nursery? He's upstairs? Oh, no, that's what I meant.
No, he doesn't know what he's going. He's going up to the center. He'll be lost for a while.
Oh, fine.
Figure it out.
The old visiting teaching program is meaningful in my life and saved my life, and is why I'm here today. So this is a subject close to my heart, so I chose not to speak. So we have some guest speakers today that are gonna share with us how ministering has, either ministering or being ministered to has touched their lives. And I'm grateful to those sisters for accepting this request. So first we'll hear from Ashley Erickson. Yeah, no, we want you up here because Mike's gonna record you. And then Brittany Fish. Are you, there you go. Brittany just got loaded up with a ton of stuff to do. We love her. Chanel Aston, for those of you who don't know, and Megan Schnell. And then if there's time left, then I'll share a few more words. But so just turn the time over to them.
Okay, ministering. For me personally, I was a better visiting teacher than I have been a minister. I was really good at being a minister when it was visiting teaching, if that sounds so weird, but it's true. So I'm gonna share, she said, how it's, when I was one, and then also how ministering has affected me. So for me, when I was actually, like I said, I'm going to share that I was a better minister when I was visiting teaching. Because I like that monthly accountability. It made me to really think about my sisters and reach out to them. So one simple example was I went to visit a sister, and I was visiting in her home. She had several little kids who were very close in age, hands full, and as I came in and was visiting with her, she said, "I'm so sorry, my floor is so filthy, my vacuum broke, and I just don't have the energy to go to the store and buy a new one." And so, it's like, okay, that's fine, no big deal. But later that day, as I was on my way out of the neighborhood, I took my vacuum with me and I stopped at her house and I vacuumed her carpet for her so that she could have a clean floor and didn't have to worry about going to the store, for a little while until her husband could be home with the kids. Like, it's very simple acts like that as to what ministering could really be. But for me, something that has affected my life, and I'm gonna cry because she's here in this room. But Lisa Call was an angel. When Colin was first diagnosed with cancer, and our world was turned upside down, and life was crazy and hectic, and I was making weekly appointments and trips up to Primary Children's. Lisa never asked, but she did. And she would drop by pre-made meals. She would just leave them on my doorstep. She never called or texted or said, "Hey, when would work for you?" She just did it. And she just left those meals on her porch, and we were able to put them in our fridge and use them for that week. Or in the freezer for, future weeks or whatever it was. But it was just such a simple act. Well, it actually wasn't simple. It took a lot of effort on her part. But it meant so much to me and my family. And it made our lives so much easier and less chaotic as we were going through a really difficult time. And so I'm forever grateful. And she has become so dear to me because of that act of love which she showed to my family. And she was my assigned minister at that time. And we didn't even have a chance to get to know each other much before this happened because it was COVID. And, there were concerns and we weren't going into homes, and we had talked a couple times on my front porch, and that's it. And then she just jumped into action, and she just loved and she served. And I will be forever grateful. And it's just made her so special and dear to me. And so it's just a testament to just do. Ministering is just something that we just need to do. And I say that in Jesus Christ's name.
Okay, I'm Brittany Fish, by the way. We moved into the ward in February or March or so it's been fun getting to know some of you. My heart has been pounding since this morning, just thinking about this, and with everything going on with this Troshine family too, I just feel so emotional. So I'm sorry for starting out this way, but I actually do have a really special experience from ministering in my previous ward. So my husband and I moved from Arizona to Cedar Hills about 3.5 years ago, and we moved into the ward not knowing anyone, and I was assigned, a ministering sister, and she was awesome. She was exactly what I needed, just that friend who would stop by. And it started out as, kind of like you were saying, Ashley, like that monthly check-in, she would drop something by for Valentine's Day and then Easter and just kind of that. But as we started talking, we became just more and more friends. And what do you need? And what I really needed was a list of babysitters in the ward. I need someone to help me with it. And she was like, I'm on it. And she was in Young Women's at the time, provided me with a list of girls who she sent a sign-up read who could help me babysit. So she was always kind of just checking in on me, there for me when I really needed it. We had been in the ward about a year, and I was looking for a nanny. I work full-time, so I was looking for someone to help with my twins and a son too. And so I thought, what if her daughter would be interested in helping me this summer be a nanny? She had just graduated from high school. So I reached out and said, she was her companion, and so I got to know her a little bit too. Sure enough, she was very interested, and she said, I'd love to be your nanny. So she started nannying for me that summer, and as she started nannying for me, I started hearing less from her mom. And I thought, that's interesting. I just haven't heard from her in a bit. Maybe she's kind of having, since her daughter's at my house every day, that's kind of the check-in, whatever. The nannying went amazing. She went to BYU in August, and I found other arrangements for my kids. And come September or so, I heard that my ministering sister, her name was Angel actually, and that her husband had cancer, and he had been diagnosed at the end of May. So that whole summer, her daughter had been coming to my house, and I didn't know, and I felt terrible, you guys, knowing that her dad had cancer, and she was my ministering sister, and I had even had those thoughts of like, where it's happening, So I reached out to her, and she said, Brittany, the best thing that happened was that she became your nanny because your house was a haven for her, to escape everything that was going on for her. It was just really heavy, and I felt so bad that I didn't reach out to her, knowing, all that and she said it was how it was meant to be, knowing that she was coming over and I was being her friend. And my dad had cancer too, and actually passed away when I was in my early 20s. And so I had just been being friends with Josie, this cute girl who had just graduated high school, and anyway, making that relationship. So at that point, our ministering relationship kind of switched. I mean, not officially, not in the tools, and I was like, I am here for you, I'm doing everything. So I started kind of doing what you said, Ashley, I just stop by with a meal, stop by and just say, like, what, I'm thinking of you, how's it going, what can I do for you? And I remember one time in particular, I had made dinner for my family, and there was like enough for 2 meals left, right? And I was like, okay, I just kept thinking of them, like, why do I keep thinking, I'm like, it's weird to bring by just like 2 little meals, Well, I did it. I went over there, and he was home by himself, actually, and he answered the door, and he was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. he was so sick, you guys. And I said, welcome, like, I don't know if this sounds good to you or anything. And then I texted her later and she's like, I had to get out, like, I had to leave my house. He had nothing to eat in the house, and it was like one of those moments that was like, I'm so glad that I just listened to the Spirit and showed up, instead of thinking like, this feels weird to stop by, you know. And that's what I learned, I think, the most is anytime you get those promptings and it feels uncomfortable or just like, why am I getting those thoughts, is to just do it. Because even if he had dinner ready for the night, I think just showing up and being there, knowing that I'm thinking of them and showing them love was important. So anyway, for me, ministering is about that friendship. What you were saying, Lori, is just being able to make a friend and checking in a genuine friendship that we will be friends for the rest of our lives and still friends even since I've moved. So anyway, I'm grateful for ministering. I'm excited to be able to be a minister and have ministering sisters in this word. So in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
I had actually been asked to do this, and then I thought I would be in the teacher council, and so I said I couldn't, and so I'm just finding out now, and my thoughts are going through on ministering and what a difference it has made in my life. And you know, the first thought that I had is, it goes back to my last ward, and we lived there, and in that ward, as soon as I moved in, I was called into the Young Women's as a counselor, and then I was the Young Women's president, and then I moved on to the Stake Young Women's, and so I spent 10 years there in that ward, associating with all the wonderful young women over there. And as I was called to be the president, I knew one of the Laurels, but not really well. And as I got put in there and I got to work with her, I got to kind of know her and some of the struggles that she was facing, and some of the choices that she was making. And she ended up having a baby and getting married as a Laurel, and kind of was falling away from the church and kind of rebelling against her family and what she had been taught. And just being a friend to her and a support to her, didn't really feel like I was making any difference in her life. She was still going along with the choices that she was making, but they ended up calling her to minister to me. And that was when it made a big difference. It kind of helped me see that maybe some things that I was doing, I couldn't see the benefit of that at the time, but she started coming over to visit me, and she was bringing me little treats, and she actually canned some peaches and brought me canned peaches, and was just a friend. To me, it was probably a bigger blessing in my life than in hers, but I just appreciated, feeling that love returned to me a few years later, after a lot of time and effort was put into the relationship. So I am grateful. I am not the person that really goes around and makes these relationships in wards, and so I have a lot of improvement to make here in this ward in ministering, but I am grateful for that example that she gave to me.
Attention to who you said I was supposed to go after, so sorry. Sorry for the delay.
You're last.
Okay, so I have just a really simple example, but it was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the text. And so it was actually around this time of the year, about 4 years ago. We had just moved here from Portland, Oregon, and we were living in an apartment, but we knew we were going to build our house here in Mapleton. So
we had started attending the ward, which then was the 17th ward. And so my husband and I would take turns driving our son Hayden to high school in the morning, and I had stopped, this is so embarrassing, but I had stopped at Jiffy Lube, and I was sitting there getting the oil change in my car, and I got a text on my phone, and I read it, and it was from a woman in the 17th ward, and she just said, I know that you're new, and I just thought I would reach out to you, and wondered if you'd like to go for a walk, which is my favorite thing to do, is going for walks. So I replied and thanked her, and we set up a time, and we went for a walk, and I learned about paths here in Mapleton, which I didn't know existed, and it was just a really kind of a sweet little answer to a prayer when I was feeling kind of lonely. I didn't really know anyone, and obviously it's something that I remembered 4 years later, so I was appreciative of that. So I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you, each a different experience. Is there anyone else that has an experience with visiting, teaching, or ministering that they'd like to share? Sometimes our hearts are full and we just hold it. And sometimes it feels good to get it out. Yeah, Kelly.
It's been several years ago, I was called to be a visiting teaching supervisor, and I just remember having such a strong feeling at that time how important the goal of reaching 100% of the sisters was, and it wasn't about the number, but it was about the people. And, and I just thought, Heavenly Father, when we pray, we don't say bless 90% of my family, you choose who doesn't get blessed. We pray to have them all blessed. And I think that's how Heavenly Father sees, ministering and sisterhood is to help 100%. Some of my favorite people have been those that I joke that I was forced to be their friends because I was their visiting teacher. But there's still some of my favorite people, and so I just always have to recommit to do my part of that 100%. But I like this handout because I would always tell the sisters, I was like, you guys, it doesn't have to, a text counts, anything, just pray, at least pray for them, at least know their names. So the 100%, that just really, I think my testimony of the 100%.
Thank you. So we never know who's struggling, and everybody needs connection. So sadly, we have a few minutes left, so you're going to hear my story. So I was that girl. I was that 17-year-old girl that was pregnant, and I got married, and I moved away from my home ward, which probably wasn't a good idea. And my husband didn't want to go to church, and he actually worked out of town, and so I was all alone all the time, except that one day a month when those sisters came. And they came every month, and they probably thought, oh, what are we gonna do with this girl? And we bought our first house and moved to the other end. We lived in Fremont, California. I know there's some people from there that know where that is. We moved to the north end of Fremont, and there was a brand new ward, and I got new visiting teachers. And about the second time they came, they said, we meet on Tuesdays. This is when Relief Society was every week. It was wonderful. It was really fun. And they said, we meet on Tuesday mornings at 10. Can we pick you up? And I said, oh, I can drive. And I did. And I went to Relief Society and was enveloped in arms like your arms. And I felt at home, and I felt peace, and I wasn't alone anymore. And eventually I started going to church without my husband, and And I kept going, and eventually became that, I don't know what he was doing, but, you know, people come, but they're not converted, and that's okay. But we raised our 6 sons in the gospel, and 5 of them served missions and are married in the temple, and we now have grandchildren and that are married in the temple, and it was because of those visiting teachers that went and visited a little girl that didn't have a clue what she was doing and raised me up. And they taught me things like, you know, they cooked a pot of chicken soup, and I said, you just throw the whole chicken in there like that? She said, yeah, you just throw it in there, let it cook for an hour and a half, it'll just fall off the bones from the chicken. I had no idea. And they taught me to quilt, and I said, oh, I don't think my stitches are very big, and they said, as long as your big toe won't fit through them, it's fine. And I'm certain that whoever took that quilt home to finish it had to redo all the parts that I did. And they taught me how to conduct meetings, and they taught me how to stand in front of people. And they taught me how to take care of my babies. And they brought me back to church, to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and to the temple of God. This is our job, sisters. There are women next to us, across the street from us, down the street from us, around the corner from us, who are me and who are you, who need us just to be their friends and to say, can I pick you up? And to say, did you know there's a party at the Lane Hearts? We had a whole bunch of people there that we never see here. It was so wonderful. The Lord has established the ministering program through his prophet to touch the lives of the sisters, the women, because we are his rocks. We will save this world, essentially, through our teaching and our love. I pray, sisters, that you will be like the Lisa Calls and the Ashley Ericksons, because Ashley's done that for me. She didn't say anything. And the Colleen Southwicks. And each of you. This is a fun time of year to shake this up and get new assignments, because we have Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, so we have an excuse to go every month. And there's nobody here. I've met everybody. I have met every single woman in our ward boundaries. There's nobody who doesn't want you to come. So whoever you've been assigned to minister to, she wants you to come. Even the sisters that we don't see at church will welcome you in their homes. I promise you. So Ramona said, I don't have an assignment. I know you have an assignment. You are Jenny's partner. So if you pull it up and it's not, and your new assignment isn't there, just update. And every once in a while, I just delete mine and put it back on. I had to do that with library this week for some reason. So, did you find it, Ramona? It's still not coming up?
No, I'll do it when I get home.
Oh, all you have to do is hit more and update. I'll help you after this. Or Jenny can help you, because she's your partner. Where is she? Oh, there she is. I know you're in there. And then again, if you have any questions. So Sister Katrina Jensen will be sending out an email, and it will have a letter from the presidency about ministering, some really good conference talks that have been given on ministering, and the updated circles. There was one really giant circle that Julie Farnworth is in, and I broke it up. It really was. It had like 14. 14 sisters, but only like 7 houses. But I broke that one up, and a couple of others got shaken up. So, so I'm here, we're here, the whole presidency is able to help you with anything that you might need. I could keep talking, but I don't think I should. So I'm going to, just let you visit with each other. And then at about 3 minutes till, we'll have a closing prayer. So, do you want me to give you a question to talk about? You don't have to record this part, Mike. Why don't you talk to each other about